Now, Inside Broadway, the podcast about everything theater. From what happens behind the scenes to what to see on stage, to the inside scoop from the stars and people who make it all happen. Here are your hosts, Michael Riedel and Christine Nagy.
Well, Michael, you know, all the buzz has been about To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway. It lives up to everything you've heard about it. The show is amazing, nominated for 9 Tonys this season. 2 of the actors joining us today, Celia Keenan-Bolger, who plays Scout, Tony nominated. This is your 4th nomination, and Gideon Glick, who is also Tony nominated for his role of Dill. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, you guys.
Wait a minute.
Congratulations.
That play is grossing like $1.4 million a week. Do you get any of that?
We get our
Nice
salary.
question, Should we get Scott Rudin on the phone?
Yeah, let's call Scott and I'll negotiate a percentage of the weekly box office gross for you. How's that sound?
Did you get an Uber ride over here at least or something?
We took the subway.
That's right.
Okay. True New Yorkers, you took the subway.
Excellent.
So nice to have you both here. And I've shared with Michael, he's heard me go on and on about how moved I was by this show, which I saw just a couple of weeks ago. And so I would love to have your take on it from your perspective, getting to play these iconic roles.
It's been a remarkable experience. I think it started with a lot of excitement and fear, especially taking a piece that is so important to the nation and taking characters that are really embedded in our consciousness, and then kind of letting go of that and accepting what we're doing every night and embracing it and working really, really hard, and now seeing the fruits, because it's an extraordinary show to do 8 shows a week.
I imagine it's got to take a lot out of you.
It is demanding. Although it is one of those shows where I feel like however much at the end of the night, however sort of exhausted we are, it also really, I don't know that I've had an experience with an audience where I felt that the relationship to them and our experience night after night after night is so nourishing and fulfilling. And I think just there is that amazing thing about theater that when a bunch of people come together from all sorts of different backgrounds and share an experience, particularly an experience that they already have a relationship to, and that we all get to process this story and these big questions about America together, there is something very, very special about that. And that has been true from when we started it in December and continues to be the truth every night that we do it.
Now, you guys are playing the kids in the play, and I think originally Scott Rudin and Aaron Sorkin, who adapted it, they were going to use real kids. And didn't you guys come in and do the reading just as sort of marking time while they were looking for 5-year-olds?
Correct.
We stole their part.
That's right.
You stole roles from children,
That's
Gideon?
right.
Oh,
happily.
Welcome to Broadway, folks. Did you
The
get
dog-eat-dog world. They got to know really, really on.
And you've done this before, Celia.
Yeah.
Spelling bee.
That's right.
Spelling
I was
bee.
like, I'll take a child's part. No problem.
Oh, but don't let her anywhere near Annie. Oy.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Next season.
Did you guys know that it was going kind of well when you were playing the kids' parts? And when you first were reading them, were you playing them as kids?
Yeah, they didn't give us the script before, and all I remember thinking was like, good luck to the 8-year-old that can navigate this language, because just reading it, like cold reading it, I was like, oh, I've lost my way in this sentence that is written by a very, very smart Aaron Sorkin. And so, I feel like in an amazing way, because I didn't think the parts were ours, there was this sort of abandon, and I felt like the pressure, there was no pressure. It was like, just do it.
Right.
And in that way, it was great. And then sort of at the end of the first day, they were like, we're kind of thinking that maybe this could work. And I was like, oh God, don't tell me that. Now I'm like a little more stressed out. Now I like really want the job.
Right.
And, but I think they realized sort of pretty quickly that even though when you say like there are adults playing kids, which I think nobody wants to see, that in some ways we've benefited from those expectations that people come in and because people are so attached to the story, I think, and we talked about this a lot in rehearsals, like the first 5 minutes of the play, I was like, I don't understand why we start the play this way. There's no porch. There's no beautiful tree. We're 3 adults talking about why Bob Ewell fell on his knife. Like, this is so sort of destabilizing for the audience. This is not the To Kill a Mockingbird that they're expecting. And then, of course, when preview started, I was like, that's exactly why Aaron Sorkin is very, very smart and understands that this is a good way to sort of make everybody feel like, okay, we have to listen in a different way than we thought. And I think, having adults play kids ends up being really, I think, not just because I get to be in it, but I think it was a really good choice.
What Gideon direction did Bart Scher give you sort of to avoid the pitfalls of an adult playing a child?
I don't feel like it was a lot of censoring. I think we were all very concerned with the stakes of the scenes, what motivates these kids to say what they're saying. We did a lot of research on the time. There's no television. We're in the South. It's the 30s. It's hot. What do we do to entertain ourselves and excite ourselves? And it was through that everything kind of started to come to life. But there was never like a conscious discussion about, how do we pitch our voice or how do we hold our body? That kind of happened organically once you are invested in the stakes.
Ah, right.
And
so you're
also,
working from the scene, yeah.
Yeah. And then, Gideon, you said you did some of your, looking into the background of your character. You looked into Truman Capote and his relationship with Harper Lee.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a really, really big part for inspiring me to figure out who this character was. And Aaron did a really good job of infusing Capote's life into the backstory of Dill. I was really, really excited about the idea of these 2 writers who are narrating and perhaps even competing with taking agency over the story, and how they connect with the audience and how they bring the audience in. That was really, really interesting to me.
We both went to Monroeville where they grew up, and there you can go to, there's like a tiny little brick area where Truman Capote's house used to be, and then Mel's Dairy, which is like an ice cream place where Harper Lee grew up. But I just remember standing there and thinking, what are the chances that these 2 would grow up next door to each other, that they would become so influential and important in our American literature? And I got to go to the Morgan Library last week, and for the To Kill a Mockingbird galleys, Truman Capote wrote a foreword. He said, this is my friend Harper Lee's book. It's beautiful. Get into it. And then I was like, wow, that was just, the 2 of them coming up in the world and trying to, and, they promised that they would put each other in their first novels. And here we get to be in 2019 playing these parts.
Yeah. It's lightning in a bottle.
It is.
Yeah. And sometimes this whole experience feels like lightning in a bottle too. So it's pretty remarkable.
Well, you have a beautiful relationship and chemistry on stage. I mean, obviously, you've become family working together. You're just all of you are just so wonderful together.
Yeah, and it's a rare thing. And I would say for a company this large and for a company this talented, you would think there would be a lot more problems, and there isn't. And that's kind of been some of the most shocking part of this whole thing, is that it's actually gone without many hitches,
right?
For and especially for this long.
Well, Scott Rudin, your producer, and Aaron Sorkin both told me that they conceived of it as an old-fashioned Broadway play, the kind of play you would get, let's say, in the 40s and 50s, when they could have a cast of 25 and 30, because nowadays we see plays that have a cast of 2 because producers don't want to spend any more money.
Yeah. I am so grateful to Scott Rudin for that. I feel like I saw Iceman Cometh last year, where I was like, this is so many people in a play. That just is not, it's not done anymore. And there is something so special about going to the theater and seeing a whole bunch of people on a stage.
Not tap dancing.
Exactly. It feels like a very different experience.
Yeah. They could tap dance too, though.
I'm not ever mad about a tap dance.
So we've got the Tony Awards coming up now. Celia, this will be your 4th, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So what is the Celia Keenan-Bolger ritual before the Tony Awards?
Oh,
what do you do to
do it? We were just saying, I was like, will there be time to order food after our matinee, while we're getting into hair and makeup, getting ready to go over to Radio City?
To do the red carpet.
Yeah, that day is so crazy. And the truth is, I just hope maybe we'll be able to have a glass of champagne.
While we're getting
we got
ready,
a nice
yeah.
Just one?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes, you got to just have one.
Later.
It's a long night, Michael.
Just fast asleep at the Tony Awards.
When they call your name.
We've been up for a long time.
We did a matinee and now we're bombed.
But I feel like that show, I'm always, the times that I've been nominated, doing that performance is always sort of hilarious because in some ways, like the stakes are so high and also you're sort of fighting with yourself to remain present and like inside of the show and not thinking about the Tony Awards, but you still do have to do like, we're going to have to do a 3-hour play that afternoon before. And in some ways, I'm really grateful for that. I think it actually
takes your mind off
roots you.
things.
Yeah. And that you're like, this is what we're here for. We're here to do this play.
That's why it's all happening too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So will you have the speeches prepared?
I feel like this is such a hard thing. We just went, the nominee luncheon.
Right. You
go and they say, you please prepare a speech so that you don't get up there and not know what you're going to say. And it has to be an hour. It has to be an hour 30, a minute 30.
That's some speech.
I know.
You have
90
seconds.
so much champagne.
You have 90 seconds from when your name is called. So it's
you
also,
have to get up there.
You have to book it.
You do because you're at Radio City, right?
Yeah.
This year? That's
you have to take your heels off.
That's a long run. It's a long run up to the stage. So, hey, before we let you guys go, we like to ask our guests if they can give us 3 or 4 songs from Broadway shows that have a particular meaning for you in your life.
I love that.
And tell us why they're meaningful for you. So we'll start with you, Gideon.
Always what comes back to me is Move On from Sunday in the Park with George.
Beautiful song.
It's not only so beautiful, it's about art, it's about love, it's also about the idea of literally moving on. I can really perseverate in my day-to-day, and you just have to move on. And it's Celia and I were talking about this actually recently. It's like, was it Annalie Ashford that said, what did she say? It's like therapy?
Yeah, it's like that musical is like artist's therapy.
And it really is. And that song, I think, for me, I always come back to it.
Mm-hmm. And another one, Gideon?
Oh, God, I have to have more than one? Oh, no.
No pressure, just,
I'll do one.
Yeah,
Can I do one?
Sure, go ahead, Celia.
Can I say the quintet from West Side Story?
Oh, yes, beautiful.
I feel like that was the first time where you have this incredible musical, but then like all of these different people, like they have different stories going on. The music is so incredible and it all comes together. Just like being young and hearing that, I was like, oh, this is like what musical theater can be. This is it at its highest form.
And then to go to a different form, sometimes it's really nice to wake up, you're making breakfast, you put on your Sunday clothes.
Oh, yes.
You blast it, and it's a really, really good way to start your day.
That's true. That's right. You know what I use that for? Cleaning house.
Yes. Oh my God.
Broadway show tunes are great for cleaning house.
They do keep you moving.
It gives you energy.
Yes.
Come and meet those dancing feet. And
I used to put on Oliver to clean my room to pretend like I was an orphan because it was the only way it would excite me to do any of my chores growing up.
And another one for you, Celia.
What about from Violet?
Oh yeah.
On My Way. Is that the name of that show?
Yeah.
Or that song?
On My Way. Yes.
I'm on my way. I love that song. And I love Janine Tesori. I feel like that was when I first really, I guess did she write that before Thoroughly Modern Millie? But somehow Violet came on my radar around the same time as like Floyd Collins. And I was like, I listened to that musical a lot of times, and that song especially.
Absolutely. All right, Celia Keenan-Bolger and Gideon Glick are starring in To Kill a Mockingbird at the Schubert Theater. Both been nominated for Tony Awards. We wish you the best of luck on the big night.
Thank you for such a great show. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
I'll let you have 2 glasses of champagne.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So thanks for listening to Inside Broadway. Please follow us. If you're listening on the iHeartRadio app or on your computer, just hit follow so you always know when we put up a new episode. We post a new episode every Friday, so don't miss out. That's it for us. Christine, it's always a pleasure seeing you.
See you next time. You too, Michael.
On Inside Broadway.